Alright, what's up there, YouTube? Okay, so today I'm going to do a vlog. I'm vlogging with the 20mm 1.8, and I'm just testing it out. I'm running up here to the, I'm going to go shoot some footage. Go do a little bit of shoot with this 70-200, the new 70-200 2.8 S lens, the Beast. We're gonna go out to the water, and I'm gonna show you guys. I use this lens. Get in here and get going. Oops, my seat's not right. I use this lens. So now I'm in the car. I'm just seeing what this thing's like. So I use this lens. Let me set this down for a second. All right, sorry. So I use that 70-200 lens at a wedding this weekend, and I got to be honest with you, I was blown away. But I was blown away, and it was super fast. I mean, that thing focused instantly. It was great. It was a great lens. But I'm looking at it as, is it a lens that I really need to spend $2,500 on? And you could argue that, yeah, it is. You could say, well, it is the best 70-200 lens I've used so far. I was looking at the hit rate of my pictures, of focus hit rate during the whole wedding that I just shot, like 2,000 and something photos and hours and hours of video. It was a shoot from 9 in the morning, well, from 10 o'clock in the morning until 10 o'clock last night. 9:30, 10 o'clock last night, about 9:30. But it was a long day. So it was a long day. Tons of shooting, tons of photos out on the water, tons of photos. Most of the 70-200 shots are in the church and at the reception. Some shots at the reception on the 70-200, but most of the other shots in the church were 85s, on the 85 and on this 20. For the big, you got a big group of people, you don't want to shoot it with a 70-200, just not wide enough. I'm gonna take the lens out now. I know, I'm just holding this camera on a little mini tripod. I'm trying the vlog thing, see what it's like vlogging with it. I think it's pretty good. We'll see how it looks. But as far as the lens goes, but what I did notice was, what was really cool about that lens is, if you're like me and you shoot photo and video together, and you're shooting both photo and video, the cool thing about that lens is, I'm sitting there shooting a bunch of photos, and say there's somebody doing a speech or a reading, and I could see that the other cameras aren't in a spot. I'm in a perfect spot to capture that reading or whatever it is. Well, there's only so many pictures you want of somebody standing at the podium talking. You just need a couple pictures of that. So after I take a couple pictures, usually you're taking pictures of the crowd or whatever. You're taking pictures of the audience, different things. So what I'll do is I'll flip it over to video, and I can hand hold the video at 200 millimeters on the Z6 and Z6 II, I'm sure, and on the Z7 and Z7 II also. But I can hand hold that video with the lens at 200, and it's perfect. It looks like it's on a tripod. It's completely steady. So I'm going to take you out here to the water now, and get some shots of boats and some different shots and talk to you guys. All right, so you guys probably recognize this park that I'm at. I did the video on my motorcycle right over there, where I did a review of my motorcycle when I brought it up here. It was a couple months ago. I did a review of the what I thought of the Kawasaki Versys after riding it for a while. I parked it right over there in that opening right there and shot it that direction. So today's a nice day because there's not a lot of people out. It's a Monday, so it's the middle of the day. It's a Monday. There's not a lot of people. And again, I'm shooting with the Nikon Z6 with the 20mm 1.8 at 1.8. I'm shooting it shallow depth of field. What I'm doing is I'm letting the camera, it's not something I do a lot when I'm shooting for aesthetics. I shoot with, I'm sure it's got a little bit of, it's a little video-ish, because it's, what it's doing is it's raising the shutter speed up to compensate, because I don't have a lens filter that fits this, I couldn't find a lens filter ring to put an ND filter on here. So it is what it is. I don't mind. I'm letting the camera just change the shutter speed. So it's fine for vlogging. I'm shooting it at 4K at 24p, 24 frames per second, instead of 30. I'm gonna change over to 30 real quick, just because I want to see what it looks like. All right, so I changed it over to manual. I raised the shutter speed, dropped it down, and I made it like f2.8 or f2.2 or something like that, just to see what this would look like. I'm just trying different stuff, and this is shooting at 4K at 30p. So I'm just, look at the trees up there. I'm just wanting to see what this basically looks like, and then I'm going to show you guys what this 70 to 200 looks like when I'm shooting like boats or something at a distance. So I'm coming out on the waterway here. This is there's a bridge over here that goes out to the water. It's a nice little park. See, it's kind of sunny out here, so let me check my settings real quick. All right, I'm just gonna leave it like that. I might put it back on aperture priority mode, let the camera decide. I don't know. Anyway, it's a higher shutter speed, so I just figured it's kind of bright out here. I figured I'd just curious as what this thing looks like vlogging. It's not very heavy. I can hold it. What I'm doing is I'm not using a Rode mic. I'm using an onboard mic just to test. There looks like some people over here fishing or something. So I'm gonna zoom this thing out and take a look at this footage. All right. So now, take the lens cap off. Doesn't look like there's many boats out here today, but at least I can come out here and see what I got to work with and show you guys what this looks like handheld. Raise that up. So it's not going to give you the best impression. I'll put the aperture. Let the camera do the work. All right. So now, as you can see, all I'm doing is holding the camera, and now I'm going to zoom to the other side. I'm recording some video. This is me hand holding it. There's a fish right there, just jumped. Right there. There's nothing moving, but you can see I'm holding this by hand. So there's no tripod, no nothing. I'm just holding the bottom of the lens. I'm recording it, just letting it go. I don't want checking out the lens here. I've had no problem. I mean, it's super fast, but as you can see, when I just hold it up here, and if I'm hand holding it and I'm going all the way to the far side over there, and I'm shooting all the way across right now, right at this moment, I'm shooting all the way across, hand holding this camera. It's just amazing. I can hand hold this thing. I'm gonna hold it as steady as I can. I'm shooting video right now, and it zoomed all the way into 200 millimeters. That's 200 right there. See, here, I'll zoom it out. Here's 70. They're shooting it at 70. And this is 200. Now here comes a boat. Let's see what this boat looks like. Here I am shooting the boat at 70. Let's go at 200. There's 200 millimeters shooting the boat. I mean, I can literally handhold this. Now I'm gonna show you guys what that looks like. There's the boat. There's the boat. That was the boat I was just shooting. That boat right there just went by. So now for photos, I didn't go through and program my buttons, my little FN2 and FN buttons, these extra buttons on the camera. I didn't go through and program them because I wouldn't be familiar enough for what the buttons were doing for a paid shoot. First off, now I would program them and use them. I'd program them and use them if I was using the lens all the time. Obviously, I'm going to be programming the buttons and using these on the side to do what I want, you know, to pick different settings. But for just shooting by myself, you know, on the first time, I'm not going to program the buttons because I might hit it and it comes out to do something that I'm you know, not used to. I don't know what it's doing, so I didn't want to throw something else into the mix. You don't want to. I'm already used to shooting on a 70-200. I'm already used to shooting on the cameras. I don't want to put another button in there that I can hit and all of a sudden now my settings are all out of whack and I don't know what I'm doing. I'm right in the middle of trying to get a paid shoot. So for fun, yeah, but for a paid shoot, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not pushing those buttons. I'm not programming those on a paid shoot. I'll practice with them and program them if I decide to get the lens, which I probably will, because in all honesty, if you look at what this lens does, being able to shoot photos, I mean ridiculously clear photos, like I'll take a photo of that boat that just went by right there. So I'm all the way in. I mean, the photos are, it's fantastic. It's fantastic photos. I'll pop those up on the screen. But if you're already shooting, if you're shooting photos and all you're doing is photography, if you don't have a 70-200 and you want the absolute best 70-200 lens that you can get for the Z system, this is the lens. I would almost argue for any system, this is like the best lens I've ever used for a 70-200. It's faster, it's lightning fast. It's the fastest. I mean, I'll go from close to something far and it just goes bam, and I mean it's like the instant it picks up the eye, boom, it detects the eye and it's on the focus. And I'm going to go through my photos here in this review of the wedding and show you, you know, I was focused on the eye. I was using eye auto detect on most of my shots. I did some where it was too far away, or they weren't big enough in the frame. So I used the tracking and I just tracked them because they were so far. I mean, it was, you know, it wasn't that kind of a shot. But then as soon as I let off and I saw that it was detecting the eye, I immediately just went to the eye and just started just shooting like that and let it just grab the eye, and it worked unbelievably well is what it did. It worked very, very well. So I was very, very impressed with this lens. So I can't recommend it enough, but for $2,500, you know, if you have a Z camera and you don't have another body of another type of camera, or like it would, I still have DSLRs and I still could use DSLRs for a lot of stuff. Like you can get a really good deal on a D850. So, you know, if you got an adapted lens on this for video, it's fine. Put it on a tripod. It's not going to have the image stabilization that you get from holding it as you do with this. Like say you get a Tamron G2, it's not going to have the image stabilization of like this. I can actually physically just handhold. I can be shooting photos, flip over to video, get some video of it. You saw what it looks like. It's steady as a rock. If you're shooting photos and you know that you possibly would want to shoot video with this, then this is the lens to get, because for photo and video, this thing's phenomenal. If you're shooting just photos, like you won't go wrong with like a G2 or something like that. It's a good lens. It's not as sharp in the corners as this. It's not as sharp as this in general. It's not as fast as this. It's close though. Is it worth $1,500 more for the sharpness and the extra of this? I would almost argue it is, because any lens that's not an adapted lens on this camera on a Z series, any lenses made for the Z series are going to be better than the adapted lenses. Just a little. Just a little. It depends on what you value. Can you use it? So like if I was using the G2 or something like that for video only on a tripod, and I can touch the back of the screen and make it focus in on the, on the couple during the valves, or lock off the, manually focus it during the valves, and I'm using that for video 90% of the time, and then using it for photos occasionally, I guess it would be okay. You'd still want for this though. I'd still want this lens. So that's my review of the. I'm not going to go in depth of technical ability. I'm the kind of guy that I'll make a video. I tell you what I think after using the gear. I normally use stuff for months at a time, but I figure I use this for an entire wedding. I shot video and photo with it. I actually got quite a bit of use out of this lens last night, yesterday, all day yesterday, or Saturday, all day Saturday. So I have a pretty good idea what this lens is capable of just in that one time shoot. Now, is it an in-depth review in that I've had this lens for a while and I can give you the all the negatives? I haven't found the negatives yet, other than price. If any negative, they could have cut the price down by not including this little display on here. But honestly, I doubt that cost that much anyway, and they just thought it would be neat to have the display there. And I suppose it's kind of handy. I probably won't use it. I look in the camera. I'm not flipping it down and looking at the top. I tried it a couple times, but actually when I'm holding the camera, I've got this up here, so it kind of blocks the display anyway. I put the arm up to the top like this, so it's blocking the display anyway, so it's not like, I could take the shoe off, right, and just have just that, but then I'll have to put the shoe back on, so I don't want to have to fiddle with that. I want to just flip it out of the way like that, so now it's blocking the display anyway. So it's not like that display is all that useful anyway if you're shooting photos and you're holding the camera, which is what this lens is for. Let me rephrase that. It's not what the lens is for. The lens is for shooting anything. If you're a nature photographer, or you're architectural photographer, or you're doing portraits and you're going to pop this thing on a tripod and leave it sitting there and walk over to it, and you've got all your shots set up and boom, 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 I'm just ready to go. This lens is great for that. It's already got the shoe. But I think most of the time you're going to be hand holding this lens. You're going to be walking around with it at events or at concerts or whatever. You're not going to have it set on a tripod, and that's most of those lenses. Now I would like to add some things about my shooting with the lens. So the zoom ring is here, which at first I didn't like it. I thought, well, this ring here is all the way at the end. You got this other ring. There's just like a ring here that doesn't do anything at the end. Then you got this ring in the middle. The focus ring is here, is behind the zoom ring. But I found that when I have my hand on here, you see that? It's super fast. So if I'm sitting here shooting, I can quickly, with one finger, go from wide to telephoto, wide to telephoto. I can zoom in, and I can actually follow the subject by just spinning the lens with my finger. And it was actually in a nice spot there. When it's back here, I'm having to hold, if I'm holding the lens, see, I can even do it right here with two fingers. So this is how I shot most of the time. Two fingers on the front of the zoom, back and forth. I thought it was actually, I've had the zoom in the back and the focus in the front before, and that's the way a lot of the Nikon lenses are. But this one here, I love the way it was in front, so it was quickly easy for me to be shooting and quickly just boom, boom, boom. Or even if I'm holding it out in front, because I held it out in front a lot, like that, boom, boom, boom. So Anyway, so that's my review. So let me go back now and talk about this 20 millimeter because this thing's ridiculous. I love this lens. I think this is the one I'll get first, is this 20 millimeter, because look at this vlogging. For vlogging, it's perfect. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, thumbs down. I don't know why you wouldn't like it, but you might not. Some people might be like, hey, you didn't really get that much. Got a shot of a bird, some wildlife right there at the end. So anyway, thanks for watching, YouTube. Take it easy, and come at you with the next one.